there's a couple of things about guitar that I've learned over the last 40 years or so. One is that if you want to learn how to play the guitar, you really need to have like not an expensive guitar necessarily, but a decent guitar is very important. I had most of my guitars when I was a kid, they built them really cheap, the cheap guitars, and they were hard to play. They were hard to learn on. You couldn't make bar chords, you couldn't make chords, up the neck. You could, it was like virtually impossible because the strings stood like, this far off of the neck, and it was like, like barbed wire, the bar chords were pretty much out of the question for me. So I bought this guitar. I found it like it was in this shop that this guy that had this, pretty much an old hippie. Not pretty much. He was an old hippie, and he had like all acoustic instruments, in the way of guitars, primarily all acoustic instruments, all used, all old. Walked in one day, found this guitar. Saw it, fell immediately in love with it. It was like way more than I could afford at the time. It was like $800 or something, and I picked it up and played it, and it spoke to me, I had to have it. I came home and I told my wife, I said, there's this guitar I have to have. Oh, yeah, how much? I told her, and well, as it turns out, the money that I paid, for this guitar, $800 was pretty much a bargain, because it's an old Gibson from the 60s, like 1965, and it's just got this deep resonance to it, and it's just the long story short, or short story longer, is that as soon as I got it, I started become a better guitar player because it was so easy to play, and I started, I was able to finally make bar chords. The other thing, so that's one thing, a decent guitar. But like I say, the good news is these days you can get a decent guitar you can get nice playing, guitars for $200, used, and the Koreans. I got one called a Larrabee that's I think it was made in Korea, and it's an acoustic electric. It plays great, stays in tune. That's a priority. It's got to stay in tune. But they're out there and they're pretty easy to obtain. So if you want to learn how to play guitar, you don't really need to spend $1,000, which is good news. The other thing is that the thing that really, there's two things that really made me. I took lessons, I took 2 lessons. I didn't like them because I wanted to rock, I wanted to be John Lennon, I wanted to. This is like what, 1964, I wanted to. Last night I said these words to my girl. I know you'll never even try, girl. Come on, come on, come on, come on, please me, oh yeah, like I please you. Well, obviously I'm not John Lennon, but that's what I wanted to be. And he was teaching me this. He wasn't teaching me how to be John Lennon. He was teaching me how to be, this is my first lesson. This is my second lesson. Rest. And that was like a week apart, and I was like, this ain't working. And my mom had bought me this $20 guitar, and she made me promise, that I would take lessons. So I guess I held my end up. I took 2 lessons. But she was like very disturbed when I stopped taking lessons, and rightly so, because she figured, there's $20 down the drain. And nobody was more surprised than me when I didn't put the guitar down, because you figure a 14-year-old kid gets a guitar. I want a guitar, I want a guitar. It then goes to the corner and immediately starts to gather dust, which I don't know why, but it didn't. So anyway, lessons, probably really, really good for you. I'd be a much better guitar player today if I would have taken lessons, no doubt. But the other thing is practice, I've been playing with people for a long time now, but I've been in a band since I was like 55. I was 55 years old when I joined the band, that's weird. That's the first band I was ever in. Always wanted to be in one. When I was a teenager, I got invited to join one, and couldn't do it because it conflicted with my career as a stock boy at the S&H Green Stamp store where I was working for Mr. Sternak, the evil Mr. Sternak, He was the district manager. Not a nice person. Anyway, that's another story. The point is, playing with people really, really, really makes a big difference. I've found, and being in this band is like, I've developed by, I hesitate to say, but leaps and bounds. Well, maybe that's excessive. I've gotten a lot better playing with the band. because, for the longest time we were hooking up twice a week, playing for 3 hours at a crack. So we're practicing as a band 6 hours a week, and then I'd come home, and I'd play for maybe 2 or 3 hours during the day by myself, just because I like playing guitar and I'm practicing all the band songs and stuff. So practice makes perfect, but you got to be drawn to it. You got to want to do it. You can't make a kid sit down and practice for, I recently got a keyboard, and I'm trying to teach myself how to play keyboard, and I'm thinking, God, this is I like this a lot, but this is really hard, and I thought, how can a kid that's not driven to play keyboard, how can a kid sit down, and play for an hour, practice for a half hour, a kid, a 10 or 11-year-old kid. My mom used to try to get me to take piano lessons. That was a battle. That was another battle. Obviously, I didn't take piano lessons, but I think I made the right decision there. I wanted to be outside playing with Eddie and Ernie down the street. I didn't want to be sitting there like little Lord Fauntleroy practicing my Pie Annie. Anyway, that's another story as well. So anyway, those I think are my encouraging takes on guitar. One is get a decent instrument, which ain't really expensive. And you know what? If you can't get a $200 guitar, start with a $50, a $20 guitar. You saw that red guitar maybe in the video that I was doing with my nephew. $20 at Goodwill, and that stays in tune and it plays great. When you plug it into an amplifier, it'll probably sound like most every other electric guitar. Run it through a couple of pedals and boom, boom. Anyway, so maybe not even a decent guitar. A guitar. Start with a guitar. There you go. There's good advice. If you want to be a guitar player, start with a guitar. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so anyway, I think I might post this because I'm a freaking genius, right? All right, everybody take care.